Welcome back, everybody. Well, I'm glad to see the sun shining. It's nice to walk around on dry dirt and not in the mud. I pretty well got all my footers dug. I've left one section out over there to where I could get in and out a little bit easier with the machines, but I'm gonna work on cutting my drain lines in today. Basically, I'm gonna locate my trunks, my main trunks that'll feed from the garage over into the house. But if you saw any of my prior videos, I don't know if you can see the building over there behind me, but I've already got a septic tank over there, and then it feeds over and it ties into my fill lines here. And when I built it, I went ahead and set it up to where I could use the same set of fill lines for the house and for the building. So when we run that line into the fill lines, I went ahead and plumbed in a Y. That way I could tie into it from the house. So what I gotta do is take the transit, shoot the elevation of that Y, and then I'll be able to figure up how deep my septic tank needs to be to get the correct fall. And then that'll tell me in the back corner back in the garage how deep I need to start back there. Let's try to do a little math. I don't use a transit a lot, but I bought this. It's a Bosch GRL 250 HV Professional. I bought that probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I've not had any problems with it. It's worked pretty well, and it seems to be accurate enough for what I use it for. All right, there's where my Y stubbed out going down to my fill lines, and I'll show you the relationship to the house. There's ground level, and my septic tank will sit over here. So I'm gonna try to get an elevation of this pipe, and then we'll figure out how deep we need to set that tank. All right, I'll do a little math. We were at 6 foot 10 3/4. Now we are at 2 foot 9 1/8. So I'll do a little math here, and we'll see how much fall we got from top of the ground down to the pipe. And then I've got to calculate the depth of that septic tank, which is 66 inches overall height. But then from the bottom of that tank up to my outlet is 52.5 inches. So I got to do a little math here, and then we can calculate from the inlet side, which is 55 inches off the bottom, and then we can calculate how much fall we need to get back in the back corner to start it coming this way. Now here's a really rough sketch, but here's kind of how I work my math. I've already got a fixed point down here, so I took the transit and shot that elevation. Then I took and measured from my fixed point where it ties into my fill line to where my tank will sit. And then I measured from the tank all the way back to the farthest point in the structure, and it'll be this bathroom back here in the garage. So I'm running this drain line at 1 1/8 every foot. So that's where I did my math. So I had 50 feet from the fill line to the tank, and I give this a little bit more. So I gave it 8 inches of fall from my fill line to my tank. So essentially, once I got my measurement here, I just started subtracting. So I took 8 inches off. Then from my outlet to my inlet, there's a 2.5 inch difference. So I subtracted that, and then I ran the math on 105 feet at 1/8 inch every foot gives me 13 1/8 inch. So I subtracted that. So that gives me my total number that the bottom of my ditch needs to be all the way back here in the bathroom. Now, the one thing that I've been focusing on is I want to make sure when these lines come under these footers in this house and this garage, I want this line to be below the bottom of that footer. So running the math the way I did, I was going to be 2 feet and 2 inches deep back here in the back. And that's too deep, because when we get out here to where we exit the house, and we'll be in the ground a pretty good ways. But I always like to have some dirt over the top of your septic tank. If you only put your tank in, you only got 6 inches of dirt, you'll never get grass to grow on it. So I want this under the ground. So what I've done, once I come up with my math, I'm 2 foot 2 inches back here. I'm going to add 8 inches back to it. The only thing that will do, it'll bring my tank up a little bit, but I'll still have 18 inches, 2 foot of dirt over the top of my tank, and I'll just have more fall going from the tank to the line. But that's probably a confusing explanation, but that's the thought pattern behind it. With me doing this by myself and nobody to run the transit for me, it'd take forever if I tried to cut this thing perfectly on grade with a fall. You know, I've got probably 110 foot of line here from, you know, front to back on the longest run. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dig this thing just a couple inches deeper, and then I've got these 1/2 inch gravel that I'll come back and spread in the bottom of the trench. And then versus us having to sit here and, you know, just finesse getting that pitch and grade just right, we can rake those gravel around in the bottom of that ditch, get the grade we want, and we ain't gonna sit and fuss with it and kill 2 days trying to get this thing perfect. So I've took it about 2 inches below where grade should be. I'll just try to gradually raise it as I go, but when I get it done, it's gonna be several gravel to fill my ditch up, but I'm gonna put rock back in it, and that way we ain't got no chances of anything settling. All right, I got my main trunk line going through the center of the house cut, and what I've done is I set my transit up to where this ditch is actually a couple, 2.5 inches lower than what I'll actually need it to be. But what I want to do is, versus me having to fight grade every 3 or 4 feet getting on off that machine, I just cut it a little bit deeper, tried to keep it consistent, but it's not a perfect ditch, but it's close enough to where I'll throw a few gravel in the bottom. We can level the bottom of that ditch, shoot grade on those gravel, and lay that pipe in here. And that way, it'll make life easier on my plumber and on me. But I know people may say, well, you're just throwing money in the ground. Well, either way I see it, I like my plumber and I want to make life easy on him. And hey, I'm gonna backfill these ditches with gravel anyway. I don't want any dirt in here to where it can settle and go down. So I'm gonna eat some gravel, but when I walk across it, I'll know it's got rock in it and nothing's gonna settle under me. One other thing I did do on this, the house will stop here. I cut this on back a little bit. My main drain line will come on out beyond the foundation, and then it will 90 up, and then I'll put a clean out on the outside of the house. That way if we ever had a blockage or something stopped up, we'd be able to snake it from the outside. I'll have to shuffle some equipment around, but next up we got to go right through the middle of the breezeway. That'll basically catch the kitchen here, catch our laundry out here in the garage, and then we'll create a long sweep 90 here beyond the footers and come back and catch a bathroom back here. And the one thing, my commode is actually going to be sitting within my footer, so I'm going to 45 essentially. I'll bring that commode and I'll bring an all Y into a line, but I'm going to keep my main line outside that footer, and we don't have that weight bearing on it. And then anywhere I cross the footer or go under the footer rather, I'll be perpendicular to it versus parallel. Well, I got all my ditches dug for my, if you want to call it, main trunk line for my drain systems. I've got them located to where they'll be close to all my bathroom fixtures, and then this basically runs right underneath the kitchen island, and the bathroom over here will be just a short run to the to tie into that trunk into that 4-inch line, and then bathrooms over here pretty much split it as well. So that way if you got anything clogged up, you'll have a clean out here and a clean out over there, and then hopefully we can keep this baby draining. So I will unload the trailer, unhook the tractor, and we'll throw a few rock in here. That way we can drag them around, get them on grade, and those boys can stick that pipe in the ground. Once they get it stuck in the ground, I'll come back, fill these full of rock, and then we'll be ready to put a rock on her pad. I'm gonna run my water lines actually in conduit through the whole house, and I'll do that. I'll dig some trenches out in my gravel and set those down beneath the surface there. So next up for me though will be putting some forms around this thing, and we'll move on to something else. I never had owned a dump trailer until about, I'd say, a year and a half ago or so, and I'd rented some dump trailers in the past, but just for like projects like this, if I hadn't had something to put this dirt in, I'd have had dirt all here in my pad, and we just had a mess trying to get in here and get this cut back down to grade. So that dump trailer has been a lifesaver for this, and that little excavator, it comes in pretty handy too. Well, hopefully we can keep some dry weather for a few days, but I think my luck's gonna run out this weekend, but we're gonna try to get as much done before then as we can. But if you watch this one, I appreciate it, and we got a long way to go. But hey, if you want to follow along for the journey, we'll be glad to take you. Until the next time, we'll see you later.